Coronation Street star James Cartwright has explained why show bosses decided to kill off his evil character Theo Silverton. Theo finally got his comeuppance in Friday's episode, May 1st, as viewers saw Betsy Swain discover his dead body in a grisly storyline twist. The schemer's downfall was inevitable, as he'd subjected his husband Todd Grimshaw to months of violent and coercive behavior behind closed doors, and soap villains can't stay unpunished forever. In an exclusive chat with Soap Scoop, the Inside Soap podcast, James argued that it was a better story choice for Theo to meet a brutal end rather than stand trial for his crimes. "I join a long line of people who've met Corey's own brand of justice," James explained. "I think ultimately, it was always going to be thus. I remember chatting to Kate Brooks, the magnificent producer. Theo was all her doing, really. It was her vision and she's wonderful. When we very first started, she said, look, it's either going to be court or Corey's own brand of justice. Then, as it went further on, it was decided that there's no need for another court case. So off he goes, mate." He continued, "With domestic violence, and as gritty as it was, the feeling was, is there an appetite to relive it all when we've seen it? I think court cases are only good as a device if there's new evidence, a shocking witness, or somebody saw something. But actually it'd just be Todd saying what happened, Theo denying it and then reliving all of those awful events. It's been a brilliant storyline, but also it's been quite brutal, and whether there's an appetite to relive that when people, at home, are enjoying their corned beef hash, I don't know." The discovery of Theo's body now kicks off a huge new murder mystery, with several suspects in the frame. After he made so many enemies on the cobbles, it'd be easier to pinpoint the characters who didn't want Theo gone. James confirmed, "I know exactly who's done it. He's basically upset everybody on the street. It could be Summer. I killed her dad, that's motivation. You've got George, because Todd's like a son to him. You've seen George punch me already. You've got Christina's a lunatic. It could be Todd, because he's just had enough. It could be Carl. There are many people it could be on that street, which I think is really exciting." James also offered a final tease, with flashbacks so commonplace on Corey these days, fans may not have seen the last of Theo just yet. Asked about the possibility, he laughed, "I could not possibly say. I think we'll have to see what happened, right? How unsatisfactory if we don't. I think there will be some flashbacks and I think you will find out precisely what happened. But all part of the fun is the journey of that. There is so much more to come. Keep watching, it gets juicier and juicier. Theo's death will affect everybody in a different way." The cobbles of Coronation Street had seen their fair share of secrets, but nothing quite like the mystery surrounding Theo Silverton's sudden and dramatic exit. For weeks, whispers had echoed through Weatherfield, half-truths, suspicious glances, and cryptic remarks that hinted at something far bigger than anyone had imagined. It all began on an unassuming Tuesday evening. Theo had been seen leaving the Rovers' return in a hurry, his usual confident stride replaced with something more urgent, almost fearful. Eyewitnesses, if you could call Weatherfield regulars that, claimed he'd received a phone call moments before he bolted. His face, normally composed, had drained of color. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, Carla later told Lisa, her voice hushed despite the empty factory floor. But that was only the beginning. The first clue, a hidden past. The first real crack in Theo's carefully constructed life came when a mysterious envelope arrived at number 11. It wasn't addressed to anyone, just pushed through the letterbox as if the sender didn't want to be known. Inside were photographs. Blurry. Grainy. But unmistakable. Theo, standing beside a woman no one in Weatherfield recognized. They weren't casual snapshots either, they looked staged, deliberate. In one, Theo appeared to be arguing with her. In another, he was handing over what looked like a thick envelope. Money. Abby was the first to connect the dots. "Whatever Theo's been hiding," she muttered, spreading the photos across the cafe table. It's not small. The second clue, a secret meeting. Meanwhile, across town, Roy had noticed something unusual. Theo had been visiting the cafe late at night, long after closing, requesting coffee to go. It wasn't like him. Theo was always polished, always punctual. But these visits were erratic, tense. One night, Roy followed him. What he saw only deepened the mystery. Theo met with a man near the precinct, a stranger in a dark coat, face partially hidden. They spoke briefly, but the conversation was heated. Theo handed over something small, a key, perhaps, before storming off. Roy, usually calm and rational, couldn't shake the unease. This isn't ordinary behavior, he later told Nina. Something is deeply wrong. The third clue, the disappearance. Then, just like that, Theo vanished. No goodbye. No explanation. His flat was left in disarray, drawers open, clothes missing, but oddly, his most valuable belongings were untouched. His phone was gone, but his wallet remained. It didn't make sense. DS Swain was called in, and while she initially treated it as a voluntary disappearance, the mounting evidence suggested otherwise. There's more to this, she said firmly. People don't just walk away like this, not without a reason. The Star's revelation. Off-screen, a Coronation Street insider dropped a bombshell during an interview, teasing that Theo's exit was one of the most layered mysteries the show has explored in years. According to the Star, viewers had already seen crucial clues, but not in the way they expected. Everyone's focusing on what Theo did, the actor hinted, but the real question is, what was done to him? That single statement changed everything. The turning point, a voice message. Weeks after Theo's disappearance, a breakthrough came from an unlikely source, Asha. While fixing an old tablet Theo had once borrowed, she stumbled upon a hidden audio file. It was short. Distorted. But the voice was unmistakable. Theo. I didn't have a choice, he whispered. If I stay, they'll destroy everything. Then, silence. The message cut off abruptly, as if interrupted. Theories begin to form. The residents of Weatherfield quickly divided into camps. Some believed Theo had been involved in something illegal, perhaps blackmail or fraud, and had fled before he could be exposed. Others thought he was being threatened, forced to disappear to protect someone he loved. And then there was the most chilling theory of all. What if Theo hadn't left by choice? The final clue, the key. Remember the object Theo handed over during that secret meeting? It turned out to be a storage unit key. When DS Swain finally tracked it down, what she found inside changed the entire investigation. Boxes. Dozens of them. Filled with documents, photographs, and recordings, each one pointing to a complex web of deception involving multiple people in Weatherfield. But the most shocking discovery. A file labeled simply, Exit Plan. Inside was a detailed timeline outlining Theo's disappearance, dates, locations, even backup contingencies. It was meticulous. Too meticulous. This wasn't panic, Swain concluded. This was planned. The twist no one saw coming. Just as the truth seemed within reach, another twist emerged. The mysterious woman from the photographs. She was identified as someone from Theo's past, a former partner believed to have left the country years ago. Except, she hadn't. And she wasn't alone. What really happened to Theo? As the pieces slowly came together, one thing became clear. Theo had been living a double life. The charming, composed man Weatherfield knew was only half the story. Beneath the surface was someone entangled in a dangerous situation, one that had been building long before he ever set foot on the cobbles. His disappearance wasn't sudden. It was inevitable. The aftermath. Back in Weatherfield, the impact of Theo's exit rippled through the community. Trust was shaken. Relationships strained. Carla couldn't shake the feeling that she'd missed something important. Roy, ever the observer, continued to revisit every interaction, searching for overlooked clues. And D.S. Swain. She wasn't done. People like Theo don't just disappear, she said. They leave a trail. And sooner or later, it leads somewhere. The unanswered question. Despite everything, the clues, the discoveries, the theories, one question still lingered. Where is Theo now? Was he running? Hiding? Or waiting? A final hint. In the closing moments of the latest episode, viewers were given one last, tantalizing clue. A figure stood in the shadows of a distant street, watching, waiting. As the camera slowly zoomed in, a familiar voice spoke. It's not over yet. And just like that, the mystery deepened once more. Because in Coronation Street, secrets never stay buried forever, and Theo's story might be far from finished. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.